Hi everybody, welcome to my channel. Welcome back. If you've been here before, definitely welcome back. I really appreciate your support. Um, and I'm going to do another video on the status on the upgrade of my Kabolite 336. Let me just kind of apologize and at the same time explain. I know that I'm not putting out the best videos. I'm learning this whole process. I understand this is an effective way to communicate amongst the hobby world, the common thinkers, the construction guys and gals. So while I'm learning the actual working of the machines and the repair and the upgrade of the machines and the modeling and everything else, I'm also working on developing a more effective way of communication. So I really appreciate those that bear with me and continue to come back. And I appreciate those that are here right now, and I do appreciate your support. Where I am now is probably final, Lord willing, final testing. Even in this video, I may get it into the dirt. I have everything that fits inside right now, although I have not bolted down the rear hatch on the excavator. For those that are just coming, I did a complete hydraulic refit, replacement actually, on my system here. I took out the old system, I put a new system in. There were a number of challenges. I did speak to other people to get advice on how to do it, and I got some great advice and I saw some great examples. My situation was a little different because I put the hard pack or the hard pipe kit on my boom, and that is basically a 3mm size pipe, and so I couldn't just replace everything with 4mm all the way through because I like the way that looks and I did not want to take it off. So I had that challenge of how to interface that. I also had a challenge that the initial equipment that I ordered, it was actually defective. So there were two lessons learned there. Number one, something my father taught me that I needed to, and I need to hold on to. Always have the right tool for the right job, of course. But this is a new hobby for me, relatively new. I've been in it a little bit over a year, and I've never tackled any real hydraulic work before. And I've asked a number of folks, and you know, part of it was that I did not understand what they were telling me, and another part of it is that there were just some things I had to learn a hard way, even though it was explained to me. Hands-on or paperwork. I noticed that there's very little technical paperwork, and one thing I'd like to do is see if we can develop something where we can share a common knowledge, a place where we can drop our files for changing, updating, upgrading, working with the equipment, where we can put the things that we've learned in one place, so when someone wants to do a hydraulic replacement on any one of the excavators, they'll know how to do it. They can go to this file and at least get an example. Or somebody needs to learn how to center their transmitter, and John was absolutely incorrect about the fun part being attaching that little spring. That is not fun whatsoever on the transmitter. So that being said, right now it looks like I have functionality. I did install hydraulic lines on each side of my boom, auxiliary lines. I had them attached for a while, but I took them apart due to leakage, and I actually need some other hardware to put those in properly. So Lord willing, I'll get those installed, and that's where I will be doing my oil change with, is using the auxiliary line to empty the oil and then replacing it. I don't see a way to do that automatically, so I'll replace it manually. But I have one of those large syringes where I marked off the spot where I would load, where I would fill up my tank to. Right now, looks like everything is operational mechanically. It works really smoothly, and it seems more powerful than the original, so I'm really looking forward to getting it into some dirt. and seeing what I can do in the dirt, get some digging done. But I'm really satisfied with what I see as far as its performance so far. And I also have been working on my electronics. I have pretty much all my lights working. And you know, this is really a fun hobby. So I have all the modes on my warning light going. And I have my night light for digging. I have my displays working. Both of them are giving me I think it's important data, because I want to learn a lot more about the hydraulics now that I have replaced the system. I need to also learn more of the technical stuff about what is better. I've had some conflicting information, but I need to really look at some data and some numbers. I've been told that the smaller valve block with the 3 millimeter leads coming off the top and going to the different parts of the excavator is more powerful and more efficient because of the 3 millimeter diameter as far as the flow to the stick, the boom, and the bucket, and the auxiliaries, which was a challenge because when I received, I went and bought, I bought a couple of them actually, but the last kit that I bought with the valve block, the pressure relief valve, and with the gauge and the pump, the technician told me that I needed to run a 6 millimeter line into the pump. I had not heard that before, so this is the first configuration I have with the 6 millimeter line coming into the pump. And if you watch my other videos, you know that I have 4 millimeter coming out of the pump going into the pressure relief valve. The pressure relief valve has a relief line that is 3 millimeter that feeds into a T. Coming out of the pressure relief valve, I have 4 millimeter going into my valve block and 4 millimeter coming out of my valve block. And then my feeds on top that are going to the stick, the boom, and the bucket, those are 3 millimeter leads. I also had to put in a hydraulic distribution block, and that is because in order to get your boom up and down, you actually need 4 inputs, 2 up and 2 down. So you either install another valve, which actually I plan to do when the upgrade for this 3 comes out. I'm going to do that for auxiliary purposes, but you either need to install another valve or you need to take one of the channels and make the 2 into 4. So this handy device does that. It takes 2 and turns them into 4. So I have 4 millimeter going into that, and then since I have the hard pipe pack on the back, I had to go on and bring 3 millimeter of it, 3 millimeter on my outputs. So on the valve block that is installed, I have the 4 millimeter going in, and then I replace these outputs with 3 millimeter outputs, and they feed the business end of my excavator. And right now, again, it looks good, and I think it sounds good. I gave some thought possibly to putting in a conventional soundtrack. However, I kind of like it the way it is. I kind of like it to sound like it is. So I'll give that some thought. The other thing that I need to do electronically is my switch actually is not functioning. So I have a switch coming in, and then I'm going to also repair my light for the back of the excavator, and I'll get those in. I got to just figure out where I'm going to put the input for the additional light. I might just splash it in with the cab lights. Another challenge that I had that I really was upset, I was really disappointed when I did it, I accidentally, um, I accidentally knocked out the lines to my swerve, to my turn. And those are really teeny tiny wires up into that. So it took me a couple of times to take it apart and resolder it, but now it's working. I did order another motor because what I put in, my patch is just a patch, I'm sure, and temporary. And if it stops working, then I'm gonna go in and put in a fresh motor with fresh wires and everything on it. I think one of the problems with these hydraulic units, at least this is just my experience, I wound up having to replace some of my electronics, and I think it's because I let too much oil get on them or let them sit in the oil too long, and the wiring became brittle and things were breaking a lot easier. So I went on and replaced all 4 of my ESCs, and I found out that the ESCs are not programmed per channel, they're universal. So you can take out your ESCs and you can put them in any channel you want. I followed the pattern of putting my channels in 213 just for familiarity and so that I could get the proper stick mode so that my ups and downs are ups and downs and my boom is boom, stick is stick, and bucket is bucket. Channel 5 I kept as my pump channel, and 6 is the left track, 7 is the right track, and then I have my additional lighting on the other channels. So my prayer is that today, and in fact, I think maybe if I learn how to pause this or come up with another video and somehow spliced into this, I think I'm going to work on getting a little bit of digging done today because I'd like to see this in the dirt. I'll put a couple screws to hold my top down a little bit, but I still have some electric work to do. So I'm not yet finished, but I'm really excited because I didn't think, to be completely frank with you folks, there was a time when I just didn't think I was ever going to finish this or that it would ever work out properly. And that added with the voices of the naysayers, I was thinking that maybe I wasted a lot of money on buying this unit and then tearing it up because I had it torn down, everything above the tracks I pretty much had taken apart several times, and I still have to put some things together. I have to do some work up in here and then put the bottom of my boom on there. And it got overwhelming and it got frustrating, and my inability to fully understand led to my inability to ask some intelligent questions. So I was asking questions and people were trying to help me, but they couldn't all the time because I wasn't asking the right questions. I'm glad I went through all of that because there's, since I've gotten this model a little over a year ago, I've seen so many people with complaints about the 336, and most of the complaints surrounded the workings of the hydraulic system. And I tell you, it's worth it if you'd like to replace it. I did not get the more expensive items. My budget just wouldn't allow it. So I did get most of my items from AliExpress. So I put more Chinese material in there and parts. And that's okay. I mean, I'm satisfied with what it's doing now. And if I was going to put that big money in to replace the parts, then I probably would have thought it would have been better to go ahead and just buy the next step up or the next 2 steps up of excavators. My whole goal after I got this and is to upgrade it is to say, hey, for less than $500 or $500 or less, you can invest in a Kabolite 336, and with a little bit of time and patience, you can upgrade it with some of the bells and the whistles and some of the actual performance of the more expensive excavators out there. And I think this actually proves me right at this point in time Even though I went way over time and budget, it was because my ignorance, because I just did not know what to do. And I would chalk some of that up to also of the material that I got initially, that the parts that I got that were defective. I didn't know they were defective. I didn't know which should come in with the package. I didn't know which type of hose to use, and I've learned all of that. So when I bought my own set, the pump, the pressure relief valve, and the valve block, I also got an entire set of hardware with it, which I saw some things that I had never seen before. For instance, there's an adapter where you can take your pump and actually put it on the valve block. So I got a couple of those. I got different washers because there was trouble with leakage and things of that nature. I really appreciate that I spent the extra money, even though I don't appreciate it in one way. I do appreciate the fact that I've learned so much and I got so much out of it that I'll be able to help somebody else, and I'll be able to complete this project. Well, that's all for now. I'm going to see if I can get a little time in the dirt and actually see if I can see a difference in the way it performs in the dirt. It just seems like it's really performing better now, smoother, and I pray it looks like it's stronger than it was, but you can't tell by looking on that. I want to go on and get it in the dirt and see how it performs, and hopefully that'll be a part of this video, and if not, it will be a part of the next video. So let me pause and stop right here, folks, and see if I can't have the next video in the dirt.